Welcome to another episode of Slice and Dice Ecom. Today we are joined by two of our lovely team members. We have
Dan, I'm the Senior SEO Specialist at ClickSlice.
You should already know who I am so far, but Julia, Operations Director at ClickSlice.
You should already know who I am. Yes, you should.
I've
I
been
like
on
that.
so many episodes, yes.
Yes, mic drop. Awesome. So in this one, what I wanted to do is discuss the kind of transparency end behind AO and predominantly how to measure success in the new evolution of search, which is the AI world, essentially, right? Because we've all got our standard reports for traditional SEO, been around for years, keywords, traffic, rankings, revenue, but of course it's going to change, right, for the AI search world. So let's start off with you, Julia, right? What does success mean when search looks different?
I'd say success is now more a lot about visibility. So traditionally and in the past, you would look at performance by looking at your rankings. And that's just, are we in position 1 to 3? It's one page. Now you're looking at a broader space, and the main goal is, are we getting referenced and cited? So this is a massive mindset shift. Basically, the win nowadays is going to be, regardless if you're ranking on page 1 for Google, for example, the main goal is for you to be referenced and cited by, I don't know, ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Claude. That's the win, the massive win now.
So Dan, moving on to you, right? How has visibility score replaced traditional keyword rankings? Because that's pretty much the new go-to KPI, right?
Yeah, I mean, visibility score, you have to think with AI engines, they're not getting search queries in the same way that Google was getting search queries. Google would get maybe 4 or 5 words, maybe 7 at a push. It wouldn't be a long tail complex query. In ChatGPT and any AI engine, the queries are really long, multiple sentences sometimes, where people are trying to figure out multiple things simultaneously. So now there's no simple way to just serve one result for that, because most of the time it isn't one result, it's 5. They're asking a comparison question or something like that. So visibility score just means how many times is your brand being referenced in any number of these varied queries. Because ultimately, even if it's not one query, it may be 3 or 4 sentences. When the AI engine goes to figure out what the answer is, it then performs loads of these individual queries, which is then pulling out this brand, this brand, this brand, this brand. And it does it 20 different times. Then in the end, it creates like an aggregate response. And that's ultimately what you're trying to rank for. There's no way to track that as a keyword ranking kind of process. So you have to replace that with visibility score. So traditional SEO rankings, still super important. Keyword rankings are still super important. That's not changing anytime soon. It's evolving, but it's not gone. But you do need to now start looking at your visibility score pretty much from day one.
A question off the list, actually, just because it's more natural, right? How often should you prompt the AI models a day to get a reliable visibility score?
So the thing you have to do is you have to request from the AI models to not remember your search history. Give it to me as if I was a fresh searcher. The problem with that is you don't actually know if it's doing that correctly. There is no real way to check it. I'd say one of the safest engines to use is Gemini, because you can do that incognito sometimes. Should you do it repeatedly? I don't see any harm in doing that at the moment. Nobody's identified a particular issue with doing that. One thing that is one of these strategies that may work, it may not work. So I'm not advising this, by the way. I'm just saying this is what some people, it's a full disclaimer. People think that if you keep searching at scale for your own terms, let's say you sell office chairs, so which is the best office chair for back pain, and it doesn't list your brand, and then you start asking it about your brand, apparently they learn off their own chat logs, and then they start to recommend your brand. How you would prove that at this point, I do not know.
It's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible.
I think we need you at office chair for your lower back pain.
I've got one.
You love that example, right?
That's what recently I did.
I'm the same with the coffee machine.
Yeah, I noticed. And I think there's also a part, if you ask like ChatGPT, who's the best e-commerce SEO agency, and if it doesn't list your brand in particular, why did you not recommend us? Mention us next time. And if you keep on saying that, you can force the model, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It has this...
Whether or not that's real is all.
No, it doesn't work like that.
It's hard to prove.
So obviously search is evolving a lot right now, right? People aren't using Google as much. They're using ChatGPT to find products and information. If you're a brand that has lots of products for sale, what core metrics should you be tracking to identify how successful your AI search campaign is going?
There's three main KPIs. You've got visibility score, citation share, and sentiment. So visibility score tracks how many times LLMs, ChatGPT, Perplexity recommend you when users are searching for products or services related to your business. Citation share is the amount of times LLMs use you as a source. So that means when they're trying to give back an argument to their users, they're using you as a source. So that means you're trustworthy, you're authoritative, and you basically know what you're doing. You're a pro in your industry. And then sentiment is how LLMs perceive your brand, be it positive or negative.
And how can you track this stuff? Citation share, sentiment, because do you just carry out a search every single day and make a log in your notepad?
This would be an easy way. Yeah, you could do it yourself, and just as Dan said, just making sure you tell it not to use your your
Reverse
search
history,
history.
History.
So you would try to do this specifically for sentiment. You can look at, for example, your reviews. So based on the positive or negative reviews, you can tell what LLMs have access to as well. So they can see if a user says you're trustworthy or if they say you have a delay in shipment. So you can improve based on that. First of all, really improve the problem if it's there, but also add those part of your content. So if you don't actually have shipment issues, just make sure you highlight that better in your content. Therefore, it kind of like counterattacks that bad review, which contributes to negative sentiment. And if you have positive one, it's great. Keep reinforcing it. Put it in your content that we're very good with customer service. We reply 24/7. Anything that's positive, even if it's there already, strengthen it. Strengthen it as
I
much
like
as you
that.
can.
Yeah, I think like a little
very
pro
good
tip I
points.
just thought of now actually is you could actually use your competitors' sentiment, look at the negative side of it, to actually use as USPs for your marketing campaign.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if you saw it went viral in the UK like a few months ago. There was this fitness brand that sold creatine gummies, and they alleged to have like 5 grams of creatine in the gummy, and it turns out like it's just not possible, and
Yeah.
it was actually all a lie. So another company that sells creatine gummies said 5 grams of creatine, as it says, scientifically back proven, and like that was the whole marketing campaign.
Yeah.
They've done really well with it, and you would have picked that up if you tracked the sentiment for that other brand.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite small, but it's massive
It
as well that
is.
you can leverage it, right?
Especially with AEO, it's massive. It's gonna influence if LLMs cite you. And also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, when they do cite brands, they always, like LLMs, always tend to give you pros and cons. So
Yeah,
you
always.
really have to pay attention
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
Sentiment's a big thing, right? As we already
Yeah.
discussed. Are there any platforms in particular that you can focus on to
Yeah.
increase positive sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, any kind of user-generated content platform is not only being cited by AI, but it's cited by Google as well. The main ones I'd say at the moment are Reddit, Quora, LinkedIn, Trustpilot. Those are the kind of areas where you don't necessarily have to artificially create discussions about your brand. Sometimes people will be talking about problems in the industry, and you as a branded account can go in and basically insert yourself into the conversation in a helpful way, and that will boost up the kind of direct citations that you're getting from those platforms, which have, I would say, a heavier weight than just standard backlinks, at least for now. Appears to be the
One of my
case.
friends actually launched a new service recently. I won't name him or his business, but it's like Reddit sentiment building.
Yeah.
Where he will
it's-
literally have
it's
like lots
becoming
of
super important.
big
Yeah.
subreddit accounts, and he'll build the sentiment for you, which is really, really impactful.
An interesting thing I've noticed while I was analyzing data for a client we're doing AEO for is that some Reddit conversations that get cited by ChatGPT are now kind of like locked. You cannot comment
Yes,
anymore.
yeah.
So
Ah,
that
nice.
is, it can be a bit frustrating if the conversation is not leaning in your favor.
favor.
But you can again counterattack that by, if there's something negative said there about you, you can mention the opposite in your content. Or if it's open, you can directly add a comment in there. But yeah, I've noticed that many, many times actually. And I think now, even with, sentiment and all these metrics, I was thinking that, the traditional reports that you normally see are no longer necessarily relevant for AI. So maybe you guys could also share more into why not, what's relevant now.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a big overlap between ranking high on Google and also ranking within the large language models, right? But it isn't always you rank number one on Google, you rank number one on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's the first thing to understand. So tracking your visibility in AI models, you can't just rely on traditional SEO tracking. It doesn't make sense. They're different platforms. One's owned by Alphabet, obviously Google. The other's owned by OpenAI, ChatGPT. It makes no sense, right? And there's not even any search volume data out there for OpenAI. So you can't have this keyword or this search volume just appended from Google. So that's the first thing, the two different platforms in its own right. The second is the different KPIs, right? So when you're reporting on traditional SEO, it's keyword rankings, traffic, it's backlinks, it's content, technical SEO work. But with AI, we need to be tracking sentiment, citation share, brand visibility. You also have different visibility within different models. So you can just view it as AI search, but you could be more visible on ChatGPT in comparison to Copilot, right?
Yeah.
You may get better leads from Copilot. So you can track all of this at a granular level. And it's really important to have two different types of reporting because there will be an overlap, but ultimately the process and strategy behind them are going to be natively different, essentially.
So how should like agencies report now? Do you combine data from multiple tools? Is it just one tool you're relying on? What's like, you know how you have for SEO, you've got rankings, traffic, and then sales, basically. What do you have with AI?
So a lot of it is the same, but it's a different tool. Like you can't use the same tool. Like I'm not a big fan of, is it the Swiss Army knife that everyone loves? Like one tool to do absolutely every single thing. Like it's specialisms, right?
The main tools have failed pretty hard at the moment at keeping up with AI tracking. I don't think any of them at this point in time I would recommend. Like Ahrefs, Moz, like
And
none of them do a good job.
If we could use these tools, trust me, guys, we'd be the first people to use the same tools we already use for this other world. But it's just not feasible. Like we've been testing our AEO service since February this year, and we only launched it in October 2025. So like it's a lot of testing, right? Just to figure out what we're doing. A lot of misinformation out there as well. So ultimately you need different solutions. And I would report on everything in one concise report.
Yeah.
But the tools you're using to pull the information in would come from different backends.
Okay, so I think another question is like, how should e-commerce brands redefine their KPIs in this new AI era?
Yeah, I mean, you're not looking for the same things anymore. Like it's similar, so you can there is a bit of carryover, but fundamentally the difference is you're not ranking a page for a selection of keywords. You're trying to see how many times for a particular cluster of problems, cluster of like queries around a particular topic is your brand being recommended above the competitor brands. So while it's still quite difficult to track this, fundamentally the kind of mindset shift that you need is it's no longer keyword to page, it's problem to solution, and your solution is obviously your brand. Yeah, I mean, ultimately that is fundamentally the big shift now. It's more problem solution focused than just keyword page. But I think that's everything for this week's episode. So hopefully you'll catch us again in the next one. We'll see you around.
See ya.
Yeah.